Hi, this is Community Builders, the podcast where we look for the helpers and decision makers in the Chico community. I am stoked to be here with my guest today, Lucia Mercado from Mercado Productions that puts on the Lunar Market, and she's also working with Explorer Butte County. Thank you for being here today, Lucia.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So let's start with, what is the Lunar Market?
Yeah, so Lunar Market is a market that started back in 2021. So I kind of went hand in hand and started around the same time as I started hosting the Divine Sundays. So Divine Sundays Market, now kind of Divine Sundays festivals, but we just go by Divine Sundays. They're passion projects of mine that I do after hours and in the middle of the night often. But we host through Lunar Market about 6 markets throughout the year. We take time off for extreme weather. So the heat in Chico is not good to us and the rain in Chico is not good to us. So we only do markets throughout part of the season. And then Divine Sundays, we host the Chico Faith Festival, which soon rebranding because it might be out of Chico soon, hosting the Happy Hippie Summer Festival and the Chico Day of the Dead Festival.
So what might you find at the Lunar Market? Is this like booths and merchants?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So we like to coin ourselves like the indie pop-up market. Very casual, very laid back. We definitely draw a large teen audience, teen and early adults. So people in college typically are our target audience. We have about 60 vendors that circulate our market every single time we host, and live musicians that are coordinated by Matthew Robinson. So he goes by the name Mars, if you know him.
I don't think.
Yeah, and we have a great lineup every single time that we host. It's a lot of fun.
What kind of stuff can you expect to find there? Is this a good place for gifts for holidays?
We have a lot of weird vendors.
Okay.
I think that we definitely, and I took it upon myself to accept all the vendors and have all the vendors that you don't typically see at the craft markets. You know, you see people selling bones and people who curate earrings with bones and just a lot of fun, whimsy crafts and art, I would say. Definitely the people that don't typically get into the beigey markets. I don't know how else to say that.
Yeah. What made you want to lean into the weird and alternative stuff?
Because I am weird and alternative.
Okay,
so you have to represent the people that are underrepresented, and all of us who, you know, I think especially Lunar Market took on a life of its own and is now, at least to me, known as the best intro market for people. Like if Thursday night market scares you, if the festivals scare you, you know, you're not ready to do that, do the Lunar Market, because it's easy to get into, very affordable, and everyone's so kind and everyone will help you out. So it's been a lot of fun to accept people who have no idea how to run a business and it's like their first intro. I love when people tell me, this is my first time vending. Like that's that makes me the most happy to hear. How
did you realize this was something you wanted to do? Is this like a long time in the making? Was it like an all of a sudden thing?
Yeah. You know, funny enough, I have like an avid teacher who I was an avid with him, you know, through high school. And then when I came to tour Chico State, he was actually the person who helped me come out here, you know, with Avid. I don't know if you know what that is through high school.
Tell me about it.
So essentially it's a program that allows you to they study with you, so you have them for one period throughout your senior year. And I did it all 4 years, and they help you also fill out your applications for college. They help you come and tour colleges. So I came on a trip with them, got to see all the Northern California colleges, which I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to do because I'm from SoCal, from Riverside. But it's funny because he used to call me Lucy Market. And the first year that he came back, it was my sophomore year of college, I want to say. And I told him like, yeah, I'm hosting markets now. And he's like, oh, Lucy Market's hosting markets. How fun. And I'm like, okay, maybe it was kind of meant to be that I would go down this path. But I graduated with my degree in accounting. So I went into CPA accounting for a little bit, hated it. Yeah, I realized that it just wasn't for me. It wasn't creative enough. And I felt like I was stuck in a box all day long, and my brain hurt at the end of the day. I started making jewelry during COVID and really liked it. I did wire wrapping and just spent a lot of time on it. Started slowly doing markets, but at the time, COVID, everything was shut down, so there wasn't much to do. There were many markets out there. And one night at the gym, I was like, you know what? I think I could host a market, even if it's just my friends, even if it's super cheap. I booked out the women's club. That's where we started hosting Divine Sundays initially. And yeah, I feel like it just kind of grew from there. It really like popped off and took a life of its own. And I've just allowed it to take a life of its own and grow into what it is now.
I love that. I love hearing that the women's club is such an incubator. That's where Chico got their start also. What was the first event like? And I should say, like, for the audience too, Lunar Market is a Chico staple. It is a huge, beloved event that has been just growing in popularity, and people have only wonderful things to say about it. Clearly something you've built that's been like a huge service to this community. But what was the very first one like, and what was the growth process? And maybe give us like how long ago was this? Is this like a 30 years ago thing?
So I think Lunar Market, I want to say it was 2021 when it started. I should note that it was actually started by Natalia. She goes by Miss Natalia. She's mainly a musician. So when I started thinking about hosting a market, Lunar Market, or the concept of Lunar Market was my first. And I was like, oh, it would be cool if we could host a market during the full moon. Around the same time, and literally within a week of me having that idea, the Lunar Market started by Natalia. So I messaged her and I said, I would love to collaborate. I would love to work with you, volunteer, and help you in any way you need it. And we worked together to host about 4 before the rainy season came. And then we're like, okay, we're going to take a pause. So then we took a pause for 6 months. But that very first one was so much fun. And it was very casual. Natalia had friends at Tender Loving Coffee, so they let her use the parking lot, and they had live music because she was a musician, and it was very, very relaxed from what I saw. The way that she did things was very relaxed. It was very much just a fun thing to do for her. And her focus was absolutely in the music, which eventually is why I took over Lunar Market, and she allowed me to do that and kind of run with it. But yeah, it was meant to be a very laid back event. And then the first of my personal event was Divine Sundays. It was meant to be a holistic market, I guess. I wanted it to be very like witchy and whimsy, which some people still get the vibe, but I think that overall it's not necessarily that anymore. Again, I wanted it to be fun, so I kept the cost very low. We rented the women's club. We had a DJ out there, and I let people pay me day of, which I will never do again because that was not great organizationally, but it was a lot of fun. And we had vendors that came out, and people from the get-go have been so supportive. And I think that that's something that not everyone gets. And I feel bad for people who don't get to feel what that feels like, because I've always had people that support me and really pour back into my cup just as much as I pour out. And I felt that from the very first market.
Do you think that having that support and having people encouraging you is part of the reason you have wanted to then turn around and show it to other people in the community?
Yeah, it is the reason. Yeah, wow. It's the only reason. I mean, I say it a lot, but I feel that I've never gotten to really put it into words and really express how much it is. The success of the events come from the vendors. The vendors are all very kind, all very welcoming, very warm, very inviting. They are the reason that people come back. People aren't coming to Lunar Market, meeting me and saying, oh, I want to come back. They're coming, meeting our vendors, meeting our musicians, feeling the warmth and the vibe and the energy. And that's what keeps them coming back.
I mean, some of them are meeting you and coming back, which is for sure. Tell me a little more about Divine Sundays and how is that? Is it part of Lunar Market? It's a separate entity?
It's sort of separate. We have 2 different accounts, and we keep them separate only because Lunar Market is pop-up market. It's, just a little bit more toned down. Divine Sundays, they're festivals. So again, we host the Spring Fae Festival, the Happy Hippie Summer Festival, and then the Chico Day of the Dead Festival. Okay. So much larger productions, much larger lineups. Yeah. Our biggest that we just hosted was the Chico Day of the Dead Festival. We saw 105 vendors. We had a lowrider car show. We had a full lineup with folklorico dancers, Aztec dancers, mariachi, grupo norteño. So big production. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. And a big thing about our events too, under the umbrella of Mercado Productions, is I want them to be free for the community. So we don't charge an entry fee for any of the events we host.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Why is that important to you?
To be frank, because I grew up very poor, my family was always in and out of work. My dad, for a lot of my life, he did really well. He was a truck driver. And then unfortunately, he had a car accident, like an accident in the truck where it flipped, and he was out of work for a few years. And my mom became the sole breadwinner in the family. So it was tough for us to go out. We had four of us. So four kids, one income. My mom had been out of work for so long that it was hard for her to get a high paying job. And I remember going to the park every single day to get the free lunches from school during summer. And my dad would just eat the scraps, And so that was my life growing up. We didn't really get to go to the fair. We didn't get to go to all these fun events because we didn't have the money for it. And so for me, the biggest thing is I want families to know that they can come and not spend a dime. If you need to pack sandwiches and bring them and have a picnic and enjoy this event for free, do that. And I want them to do that.
How compassionate and how thoughtful for the community. I think that kind of thing not only benefits, people who might find an event like that cost prohibitive, but the entire community having something positive to go to bring people who might otherwise stay at home and remain disconnected from our community now have a place to go. Do you feel the significance of that? Because it's a big deal in this town.
Oh, yeah, I do. I think especially now, we're entering definitely a time where people are going to be struggling. A lot of people just lost their EBT and it's hard. I mean, even for me, I work a full-time job. I have my passion projects that bring in income and I'm struggling. I don't have any kids and I'm still struggling. And I think that unfortunately, that's the story for a lot of us. And that's what a lot of us are going through. And again, at the forefront, we want community to be the most important part of it, and community shouldn't cost money.
Were you always like this?
I hope so. I'm not really sure. I mean, I hope so.
Do you have an earliest memory of organizing and how that came to you? Because it certainly isn't something everyone does naturally or is born to do.
Yeah, I think I definitely take a lot of influence from my mom. I feel that she's always been, and this is something that me and my siblings take a lot of pride in, she was always the household that people wanted to go to. The friends that had maybe not the best life at home, they didn't have a lot of support. They knew that they could come to my house and my mom was going to be that support for them. And so it just kind of happened that through elementary school, middle school, I made really great friends. And then by high school, we had a friend group of 15 to 20 people that were cemented friend group. And we would have bonfires at my house. We would always gather there. And so I just kind of became the organizer. It's also in my nature to be a little bit controlling. So I was like, no, I'll host it. Don't worry. So we would have the gatherings at my house all the time. And I think that that's probably the earliest memory that I have of being the organizer, being the person to bring people together. Definitely.
And then when you started with these events, what was your indicator that you can keep doing this? These will be successful. Yeah. This is going to work. And was that the first one was mobbed, or was there
oh my gosh, I wish. Actually, like I said, started 2021. In the beginning, it was definitely just oh, this sounds fun. Could we do it? Could I do it? Could this be something? And I want to say 2021, 2022 was the hardest time for sure. We had a lot of events in Chico. I don't know if anyone remembers that time, but right fresh out of COVID, everyone was hosting a pop-up market. So it was so saturated. Wow. I think that there were so many events happening that it was really hard to get people to come out to your event. There was if there was 10 events happening in a weekend, how can you get people's attention to come to yours? And I take things to heart a lot. I think especially vendors are paying me money. That's how I'm able to pay a venue. That's how I'm able to pay entertainment. And so when events would do poorly, I would literally be unloading the truck at the end of the night crying. And yeah, my partner, my sister can attest to it. They definitely were there for me a lot, where they're like, it's okay. It's going to do better next time. And I'm like, no, it has to do better now. I don't like the idea of taking people's money and not giving them their money's worth. So it was definitely a slow start. And I think that little by little, what I learned more than anything was I couldn't do it by myself. And so I started offboarding some of the things that I wasn't great at. So I have a photographer who's always my photographer, Juliana Moreno, amazing, super talented. Matthew Robinson Mars, who does he curates the musicians for every single market. I just trust that they're going to do their jobs and I focus on mine. And I feel like that was really game changing for me, and realizing that I can't do all the things and I shouldn't do all the things. Yeah. And I want to say they started taking off in 2024. I remember having that first Lunar Market that we moved to moving out to Chico. And I think maybe the proximity to Chico State campus really helped. And there's a lot of parking around there. So I remember the first market that was like big, and I just kind of was in shock, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of people here. And all the vendors too, I feel like we were all just kind of shocked together and had this moment of like, oh wow, like this is good. And let's hope this sticks. Yeah.
What a cool success story. Like, how exciting is that? And so at that point you kind of realized we can do this. Like we can continue these. Tell me about the pace of events that you're doing right now, all around. How many events are you doing a month, a year?
Yeah.
Do you know those numbers?
I've really pulled back. When I used to work for Downtown Chico, I was hosting at my peak 50 events a year. Wow. Which is kind of insane. I remember like calculating at the end of the year,
there's only
and I'm
52 weeks in a year.
Exactly. Yeah. So every single weekend, almost, I was hosting an event. And when I was, managing the Thursday night market, I was hosting maybe even 2-3 events in a weekend. Wow. So it was intense. Since leaving very recently in May, in 2025, I made the decision not to do that because I realized I'm burning out and I'm going to be very tired if I continue this trend.
Protect your time.
Yeah. So I host sort of from like February through November, I would say. Like I said, I also take June, July off. So I take off anytime that college students are here because they tend to be a big part of my market. So I don't host when they're not in town. And I also don't like dealing with rain very much. So I try to avoid those times. But I host, I want to say between 6 and 8 lunar markets, and I host 3 major festivals through Divine Sundays.
Super impressive. What's your advice to a young you, to someone who's maybe starting out and is interested in this stuff? I love the nod to your like tenacity of staying with it, even through the unloading, after a hard, less than ideal turnout. Mm-hmm. What do you wish someone had said to you early on?
I think to trust myself. I feel like very early on, it was really tough to trust myself and trust that I could do it. And I owe so much to my friends who, like I said, poured a lot into my cup. One specifically, Marissa Segovia, she hosted the very first market that I ever vended at. So it like really came full circle when she then started working for me. She was my first assistant with the Downtown Chico Business Association when I ran events for them. And then now she's my right hand. And it's funny because I don't even have to say it. People would notice it. Wow. Like when people do my markets, my mom actually just came to see the Day of the Dead Festival. And she hasn't really gotten to see many of my events. So, 4 years in, for that to be the first event that she sees, it was huge. And at the end of the event, she goes, do you like pay, or do you have like a title for Austin and Marissa? Because they're basically like your managers. Like they really manage events and they take a lot of initiative and a lot of passion into this. And I was like, no, like they are just amazing people who are very compassionate and very caring and take on a lot. And I feel that I have a lot of people like them who take on more than I anticipate and more than I am ever comfortable asking for. Marissa has always been, when I used to work for DCBA, there would be really late nights where it's funny to say out loud, but at the end, because we're friends, she would like kiss me on the forehead and she's like, you're doing great. And then when she quit that job, I was like, oh, there's no one to kiss me on the forehead and tell me I'm doing great. Can't expect that out of a coworker.
That's funny.
But yeah, I have great people that like poured into me more than I was ever able to pour into myself.
And I think that's great advice. What I hear there is the importance of like surrounding yourself with other people who want to support and build and get it. How was that experience in finding those people? Because that it seems tough, right? How do you find your real advocates? And what did Chico afford you? Did you find those people here? Did they have to move to town? Tell me about the community.
Yeah, I definitely found them in Chico. And, I say this a lot. I have friends in Sacramento who do very well for themselves out there and constantly ask me, well, why don't you move to Sacramento? Like, it's so close. You can do so much more. And I think that to those people, I always say that they don't understand. Like, they won't understand until they see it. you know, I have friends who host big events, and to me, it's always like, how many of those people that host that attend these huge events actually know your name? Because most of the people that go to Lunar Market know my name, and they take the time to learn my name, and they take the time to get to know me, and I feel like that's something so specific to Chico that I have not experienced anywhere else.
Did you know the importance of that community coming in when you started this, or is it something you kind of discovered as you went?
Yeah, I think I definitely did discover it. I think it was always innately something that I craved and I worked to build, but I don't think it was something that I knew was so important and knew would be so important. And, you know, now it's awesome when I see my vendors hanging out for holidays. Like, they have holiday parties where they invite other vendors and they're hanging out all the time. And that to me is a testament to why the markets and the events are so successful, because we really are, like, I hate when people say like we're a family, because I don't think, you know, that word has been used poorly in the past. Yeah. But I think we definitely, like, we've built an amazing, beautiful community of people who help each other out. And you see it when people are struggling, we check in on each other, and we can notice when vendors aren't coming to markets anymore. And when we see each other around a lot and all of a sudden we don't see each other, you know, it's just, you can feel it. You can feel that everyone that's involved craves it as much as I do.
And I want to talk a little more about that, because that is spot on. I want to harken back to your mention earlier of the importance of doing like weird and alternative things, and the community has responded to that, right? And that ended up being not only like a really compassionate and inclusive move, but a good business move. There's like a desire for that and a need for that space in this community. Can you talk to me a little bit more about like the weirdness of it and why this community embraces that so well?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was always kind of a weirdo. I was a marching band kid. Growing up, I was in band my whole life. And I just hung out around like a bunch of nerds and weirdos. And I feel like what you learn is that a lot of us are not very comfortable going into large spaces. And a lot of us kind of feel like, oh, well, I don't really belong there. And belong is such a strong like word and such a strong feeling. If people don't feel like they belong, they truly hate their environment. Like, you could be in the most beautiful place on earth, but if you don't feel like you belong to something or are part of something, then you're going to hate where you are. Yeah. And I feel like for a lot of people, at least for me, it started being at Chico State. And, you know, they push a lot that there's a big Hispanic population at Chico State, and there's, you know, a lot of diversity and inclusivity. And then you go off campus and I was like, oh, it's not here. Like, I don't see it as much as I see and hear it on campus. And so my biggest thing at first was, well, how do I get more Hispanic people of color that look like me and have the background that I do to feel like they have a space to go to? And that's also why I keep costs very low. I try to do a lot of things that kind of like the Chico Day of the Dead Festival was and has been, I mean, I'm still on a high, but it is like my biggest goal to have an event like that where we had people of all backgrounds, of very varying types of upbringing in the same space, having fun, celebrating Hispanic culture. Like, that's huge, especially for a town like Chico. And so, yeah, I think all of the events, that's always the goal, is to allow people who maybe they're Chico State students, they're new to town, to come to this event and be like, oh, maybe I do belong here. Like, maybe this is a place that I can call home.
So well said. I want to talk a little more about the power of that belonging feeling. And I want to talk about that from the other side. What's at stake here? And what happens to people that don't feel like they belong? And how does that affect our whole community? Yeah. Right? Because there is like, you're building something that's preventing something, right? You're allowing people to feel like they belong so that we don't have, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like, what are we losing?
Yeah, I think that there's two things that come to mind. Like, one is just working for DCBA and now working for Dix-Barbie County. I realize how important it is for people to feel pride in where they live. And it actually saddens me a lot to see that there isn't as much pride in Chico, in Butte County, for people who live in this area. Because for someone who lived out of the area, came from Riverside to move here, start a life. My sister moved here in 2021. My partner moved here in 2021. My little brother just moved here last year. So I'm slowly but surely moving my entire family here. That's my goal. So it's hard when people are always saying, well, it's obvious you didn't grow up here. That's why you love it so much. And so for me, it's like, well, why don't you? Like, what is missing from your life that you haven't found in Chico that you're craving so deeply? And I think that that's why belonging is so important, because I think that if more people were able to find their pockets of belonging, then they would fall in love with the town that they're in.
I mean, hard agree. And I think that there are communities out there that there's like an overwhelming feeling of nobody feels like they belong.
Yeah.
And I don't think those are anywhere near as pleasant a place to be. Tell me, I know we talked a little about your family, but tell me about lessons you learned growing up that helped you to care, to be compassionate, to literally build community, because that's what you're doing here. And I really liked your acknowledgement of the vendor, like you're creating space for vendors to get to know each other, and then they carry on those relationships, and it has this ripple effect throughout all of Chico and, you know, the world truly, but it's instantly affecting where we all live. Tell me about what you brought with you from your childhood that made you into someone who is such a helper.
Honestly, I feel like it comes back to my mom a lot. Like I said, she was always the organizer, always someone who really poured into other people and continues to, even though sometimes I feel like she pours too much. And I'm sure that that's what people sometimes feel about me. Actually, I know that's what some people feel about me. My sister's always telling me. But I feel like I always had this beautiful role model, and I never saw it as something negative. You know, to constantly fill other people's cups is a gift. And it is something that I think it's born into you. I don't think that everyone is meant for that. A lot of people are really great at protecting their peace, which is beautiful and wonderful in its own ways. But I think that there needs to be people like us who are willing to overflow other people's cups and wait for ours to be overflown, because other people just need that love, and maybe they're not getting it from their families or getting it from their circles at the time. So I grew up with someone like that. And on the other end, my dad, he immigrated here when he was 18, I want to say. Met my mom pretty early on, and you know, she spoke English already, so she taught him English and really helped him like push a career forward. But I just saw two very hardworking people throughout my whole life, and people who always believed that something better was going to come along. You just had to wait for it. And so I feel like that's just kind of how I push forward when things aren't going well and I'm stressing out. I'm like, something better is going to come and it's going to be okay. And I just put it in universe's hands and it's going to be fine.
Yeah. Have you found that philosophy translates?
100%. Yeah, it does. Because, I mean, whatever you believe, whether you believe in God or universe or Allah or, you know, anything, I believe in all. But for me, it's like you do at some point have to let it go. Like having so much control over the process is not necessarily healthy. And there's just, I mean, obviously I was doing the exact same things or similar. I was running markets similarly in 2021 as I am now. I've learned things along the way, but I literally just had to let go and let it take its own path. And I feel like it has. I mean, Divine Sundays was meant to be holistic market. Now it's a festival, more family friendly. And Lunar Market was meant to be like very witchy, very spiritual. And, you know, like I said, I think it still kind of gets that a little bit, but now it's a beginner friendly market. It's much more like indie and young, and you see a lot of secondhand, and that wouldn't have happened and it wouldn't have taken that shape if I controlled the process so much.
Do you have events between now and the holidays coming up?
I do actually. I have one event. I wasn't going to host anything, but on Sunday, December 14th, I'm actually collaborating. Lunar Market and Miriam Park Events is hosting a Littles Lunar Market, where we're going to have all business owners under the age of 17.
Awesome.
Spending. Yeah, so it'll be like a holiday craft fair, but all littles. And we're hoping to get a couple sponsors so it's completely free for the kiddos. And it should be fun. I think it's something just a little bit more light to end off the year.
What is it that you love about Chico most?
Oh my gosh, so much. I keep using the word because it truly is what it is. It's community. You know, this weekend, after the market, after the festival, after Chico Day of the Dead, I was standing there at the end of the night with my moms, and they had come up from Riverside to visit me, and they also were part of the event and helped me clean up and stuff at the end. And, you know, my mom at the end was like, do you realize the community you have here? Like, do you really, like, take a step back and soak it in and recognize the people that are here for you? Yeah, I do. Constantly. And I cry and journal a lot about it because I'm so grateful. I'm filled with gratitude constantly, knowing that people are always going to believe in me in this town, and people are always going to be there for me. And I don't think it's unique to me. I think that it's the community. Like, we have this great group of people in Chico, and I don't know, like, how we all collected here, and we're so lucky to find each other. But I think that for the most part, the people in Chico are really kind and really caring and compassionate, and they tend to slow down more to get to know people. And I think that that's what I love the most about this area.
And it's well deserved that you feel that, because you're a builder. You are making these things happen, and you are enforcing this community and encouraging it to grow in a way that is going to benefit all of us. Tell me a little bit about your work at Explore Butte County.
Oh my gosh, I love my job. Yeah, I mean, I find ways to love all of my jobs, and I take a lot of pride in any work I do. I used to work at Costco at one point, and I ran that kitchen. Like,
That's awesome.
I love working. But with Explore County, I'm the community relations specialist, which I'm still trying to get a full grasp on. I think for the most part, it means that I am the connection between Explore County. You know, we are a destination marketing organization, so we do tourism marketing for the entire county, and trying to explain to people out of the county why it is that you should come here and visit us and spend time and money here. And my job is mostly to meet with those that are organizing in the community, which is kind of cool. Like, I have gone from knowing most of the organizers in Chico to now getting to meet those in Paradise, those in Gridley, those in Oroville. And there are so many passionate people in our county. So my job is trying to figure out, how does Explore County better support them and what they're doing, and how do we also get more eyes and ears to know about what they're doing. So it's been a lot of fun. I've definitely started slow and tried to navigate the waters, and there's a lot to learn in tourism marketing. It's very different. I didn't think that there would be a job like this ever. So I feel very lucky to have this opportunity. I run mainly, and I feel like most public facing, is Butte 365. So we have a free community calendar that is very well run and operated. There's a lot of events that are put on it. I think just in October we had like 167 events that we processed through there. We also have an Instagram and Facebook that go with it. And again, we offer free promotion for any organizers in town,
which is awesome. Can you say the name of the website again? Because this is something everybody should check out.
Yeah. It's butte365.com.
Butte365.com. How many events?
167 in October. So we have a month. We have about 10,000 active users. We definitely we're trying to up it. We're trying to get more people out of the area to use it. We definitely want it to be known as a resource for those who are coming in. We use it on our newsletters that go out through Explore Butte County. So there's a lot of opportunity for people to get exposure through it, and I feel like not enough people in our community know that it's available and it's free to use.
It's an exceptional community resource. It's extremely cool, and it's just great visibility into all the things that are happening too in the community. Even for me to just get a bird's eye view, and even if I'm I'm a little bit of a homebody, so I don't go out too much, but even without attending, like, it's great to just see, like, these things are happening in Chico in one place like that. I want to make sure to create space as we wind down here for you to say anything that's been on your mind, or for you to give us a Lunar Market plug, or anything you wanted to be sure to say while you're here in the hot seat.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. You can even
Yeah, I guess, like, not really plugging anything, but more plugging just people getting out more. I think a lot of us are homebodies, and that's okay to be.
I love that.
It's totally okay to be a homebody. I think, I definitely have my weekends where I barely leave bed, and it's very necessary. But I hear a lot of people say, well, I don't really go out because there's nothing to do in Chico. Oh my gosh, there's so much to do in Chico. There's so much to do in Chico, in Oroville, in our entire county. There's so much to do. And Another reason I love working for Explore County is because we have very talented, creative people working hard to get information out. So if you checked out our website, if you checked out B365, you'd be able to find so many events, so many things to do. If you don't want to be around people, that's fine. Go explore Oroville and go, float on the river. Like, go do anything other than just like being in your own head and being in your own space. I think that it's important for all of us, especially now, to reconnect with nature, reconnect with people, reconnect with each other. So yeah, I would just say, like, try to explore and put yourself out there, because it costs a lot of discomfort to find community, but it's well worth it.
That should go in the promo for this. So well said. It's so it's been a theme that is emerging with everyone that I talk to about the importance of connection and the importance of like going out and to not be isolated and trapped with your thoughts and your scroll and your doom and gloom fears, but to find your belonging, to find your people, and there's certainly no shortage of that in Chico. Lucia, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate what you do so much. I'm so glad we have people like you in this community where I live, where my family lives. Thank you for being a community builder.
Thank you.